question is based around a lecture, in fact, which one brother he attended. In this lecture, this brother he attended, the speaker said that the Muslim Ummah is at a time of decline right now. We don't have technological advancement. We don't have enough Muslim barristers. We don't have enough Muslim solicitors. We don't have enough Muslims who are MPs within the parliament. Was he correct in this? What is the way forward for the Muslim Ummah? What is it that the Muslim Ummah is lacking? What is the greatest problem that the Muslim Ummah is facing? Now, people will debate and discuss this all day long. Some people will say it's occupation of Muslim land. Some people will say it's the lack of salah. Some people will say it's the lack of sadaqah which the Muslims they're giving, or the lack of, superior positions in so-called positions which people are supposed to have, which are lacking amongst the Muslim community. When in actual fact, if we take a step back and if we look to all of those scenarios which I just painted out, do we have a lack of sadaqah which is being given? In fact, Muslims are very generous. You'll find at a time of crisis, whenever Muslims they come on television, and when people are begging for your donations for Palestine or for Sham or for this situation or for that situation, people are very quick and easy in order to give the sadaqah. When it comes to the siyam, in fact, everybody they fast. Nobody's going to dispute about this. When it comes to the occupation of Muslim land, everybody they can see what is in fact is taking place within the Muslim world. No one's going to deny that the Muslim Ummah is at a point of ibtila. It is at a point of test. But should any of this come as a surprise? It shouldn't come as a surprise. So what then is the greatest problem? The greatest problem in itself, from what we can find, is the conspiracy from within. The conspiracy from within the Muslim Ummah, which led to its original decline. And that is the conspiracy of a separation of Islam from your own life's affairs. And Umar ibn Khattab, he reported from Rasulullah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, speaking about this very matter, where he said that the pillars of Islam will be destroyed one by one. At the head of them would be what? The salah. At the other end of it would be the ruling. And people will be raised in Islam who don't know Jahiliyyah. They are not aware of Jahiliyyah. And as a consequence of that, people would end up falling into that Jahiliyyah. So let's look today. What kind of Jahiliyyah the Muslims they're falling into? Zina, listening to music, so-called stand-up comedians today, voting for man-made law, accepting man-made legislation, following their own rituals and customs of their own tribes, of their own parents, which actually in actual fact have nothing to do with Islam. For example, going to the magician, going to the pir, going to the graves, all of these cultural practices, or any bid'ah which is introduced, for example, at the time of janazah or celebrating the Prophet's birthday. All of these matters, you'll find there's been a steady onflow of that ongoing amongst the Muslim community. But there is good news. The good news is, the mubashirat is, that the Muslim Ummah is moving away from that, and more people, they begin to study the deen. So then what is the cure then for this biggest disease? And how is this biggest disease really then manifested for us? It is where people start to separate the terms Sharia and At-Tawheed, or Sunnah and the Quran, and separate it and make the separation between the two, when we're meant to have the lazim between the two. Our shahada is the meaning of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, to believe that there is nobody worthy of worship except Allah, and to follow the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Follow all of his sunnah, follow him in his sayings, and imitate him in his actions. All of that will be manifested inside our own life's affairs. But the sunnah and the sharia and the tawheed drives forward what? Drives forward, in fact, for us, the subject matter of what is the actual meaning of At-Tawheed. And the actual meaning of At-Tawheed, meaning the exclusive worship of Allah Azza wa Jal, necessitates that we make something called Al-Kufr Bit-Taghut. Rejection of At-Taghut. Rejection of all false arbab, andad, all false tawahid, all false gods, Al-Nafi wal-Ithbat. Rejection and then affirmation. That will then begin to make us understand then who is the one who's truly worthy of worship in regards to his rububiyyah, in regards to his lordship, in regards to his asma wa sifat, asma al-husna, the beautiful names and attributes of Allah which are exclusively for him. They're not for anybody else. Then when we take that and we understand also the subject matter of all of our ritual acts, they must be done exclusively for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, we then need to pinpoint and go back to all of those points which we just mentioned and look to where we're lacking. Look to where we may be committing something called ashirku billah, association of partners with Allah Azza wa Jal. And that is the subject matter which Allah Azza wa Jal, he will never forgive. In fact, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said on authority of Abdullah bin Masud, whoever dies whilst making partners with Allah Azza wa Jal, he will only enter one destination, and that will be the hellfire. So this is a matter which Imam Abu Hanifa, he said, At-Tawheed is fiqh al-akbar. It is something which every Muslim, he must be aware of. The cure for the greatest disease, al-irja, separation of Islam or Tawheed from our own life's affairs, where people are doing all of these haram acts like zina and doing all of these munkarat and fahisha, like drinking alcohol and going to nightclubs. It is the return back to at-Tawheed. At-Tawheed, as we said, Imam Abu Hanifa said, fiqh al-akbar. The greatest fiqh which anybody he could study is greater than the salah. Without the Tawheed, there can be no salah. The first thing that you'll be questioning inside your own grave would be what? Your own shahada. Who was your Lord? What was your messenger? What was your deen? Who was the messenger? When he was sent, what was he sent with? What was the Quran? What did all of this mean for you? What were the ayat? How did you take them? So the mother of all obligations, the mother of all duties, it is knowing what? At-Tawheed. Allah said inside the ayah, فَأْلَمْ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. So know that nobody has the right to be worshipped except illallah, except Allah Azza wa Jal, Allah al-Jalil, Allah al-Hakam al-Adl, and all of the beautiful names, al-Malik, al-Qudus, all of the al-Qadir, all of these names and attributes which are exclusively for Him. And this is the manifestation of our own ibadah, which is what? At-Tawheed is al-Ifradullahi bil-Ibadah, the exclusive worship of Allah Azza wa Jal. So the greatest disease is al-Irja, but the cure for that is at-Tawheed.